You are watching Abundio Forcado YouTube channel. Please don't forget to view always, like, comment, subscribe and click the notification bell so that you'll always be updated to my new vlogs. Chapter 1. Political Science and its Study. Political science, as a field of knowledge, has been diversely defined. But since politics is the root word of political science, the definition of the latter centered on the former. 1. Aristotle started the study of the polis which, according to him, is the most sovereign and inclusive association. Many centuries later, a German social scientist, Max Weber, argued that an association is political if its authority is carried out continually within a given territorial area by the application and the threat of physical force on the part of the administrative staff. 3. H.D. Lasswell, a contemporary political scientist, defined tersely political science as a study of influence and the influential. Lasswell continues to explain his definition by saying that influence refers to power and influentia refers to those who get the most of what there is to get, and those who get the most are the elite, and those who do not are the masses. The above cited definitions are but some of the many definitions of political science. They are apt definitions suggestive of the political processes of each and every of which enunciated them. But such definitions can serve as a guide for beginners. For the students of introductory course to political science, this recommends the definition given by Messrs. Smith and Zurcher, which says that political science is a branch of social sciences dealing with the theory, organization, government, and practices of the state. Nature of political science. As a study of the state, political science objectively gathers and classifies facts about the state. Such facts are varied: the nature of the state, its historical evolution, its present and future form, the processes and devices through which power or authority is acquired and exercised, and the relationships of the people among themselves on the one hand and between the people and the state on the other, and between different peoples and races of the world that bear the names of their respective states. In doing all these, political science has as its functions and objectives the discovery and formulation of certain political principles that are considered important in public affairs. The findings and conclusions in such endeavors are so valuable to a long line of political authorities, the constitutionalists, lawmakers, executives, judges and diplomats, all of whom, most of the time, need precedents that may shed light over factual situations. The same is true with respect to the private practitioners in which citizens who are desirous to understand the society in which they live. Moreover, political science also studies vital domestic and international problems ranging from public welfare, governments, economic programs, including morals and culture, to foreign aids and loans as well as armaments and disarmaments. Scope of politicate science. Like other disciplines, political science covers a number of subfields. The major areas that fall under its sphere are the state, government, law and the interest groups. In each field of inquiry, there are several specialized divisions, to wit, 1. Courses in political philosophy to trace the origin, evolution and spread of political ideas. 2. Courses in comparative governments to present an analysis of the structures and operations of the different political systems. 3. Courses in public laws, both constitutional and administrative, so as to gain insights into the relationships of the rulers and the ruled. 4. Courses in international law in order to understand the external relations of states. 5. Courses in public administration to enable government officials to learn the art of balancing limited public resources with the possibly available goals of the state, and 6 courses in political parties and pressure groups to imbibe acquaintance with the forces that influence public policies as well as the government itself. Nature of politics. Generally, political science is all about politics, according to Aristotle, is the study of the affairs of the polis state, which he defined as the most sovereign and inclusive association, the import of which definition, one writer observes, is the existence of rule or authority within the state. Politics, therefore, is a study of power relationships among people in a given society as well as those of states in the international community. H. D. Lasswell, a modern political scientist, confirmed this nature of politics when he said that politics is the study of influence and the influential. According to him, influence refers to power and influential refers to those who get the most of what there is to get, and usually those who get the most are the elite, and those who do not are the masses. Professor Lasswell's conception of politics has given rise to a new one, although not too different, that politics is a public conflict, and as such, it is an arena where conflict is carried on by the people or by the interested groups for the things they want, and for the things they do not want. Political science is science. Some people would deny political science a place in the field of science because of the inadequacy of its methods and principles to predict political developments. Yet it may be argued that many political forecasts in the past did come true in the past. Schumann, for instance, bragged about his prophecies that were confirmed by history, such as the death knell of German democracy, the devastations of Europe in the 30 Years' War, and the descending of Japan in the Asiatic mainland and its downfall after failing to wrest the Philippines from the United States. Charles de Gaulle is another. In 1966, he spoke of the coming of great condominion of 2 superpowers, which is gradually being confirmed by recent international events. But the most convincing evidence that political science is the definition of science itself. The word science is usually defined as a body of knowledge acquired by scientific inquiry. Inferentially, what gives a body of knowledge a scientific character is the method used in acquiring such knowledge. In other words, science is not substance but methodology. Therefore, one may reasonably conclude that systematic way of gathering and organizing knowledge about the evolution of state, law, public opinion, propaganda and other aspects of political activity and thoughts constitutes the science of politics. Methods of political science. Political scientists do not have unanimous opinion with respect to the number of approaches in the study of political science. Some of them just avail of only a few while others employ as many as there are available methods in order to justify each claim that one's work is exhaustive, but we are only for the brief discussion on the subject. Number 1. Historical method. The historical method is the study of politics through inductive generalizations from the collected and analyzed historical facts. It explains the present status of political institutions and their tendencies in the light of their respective origin and gradual development. This particular approach therefore observes and analyzes carefully the facts of history in order to be able to understand the present condition together with the future course of political organizations. The use of this method, however, required a great care in the collection and analysis of the materials and the avoidance of preconceived notions in order that its conclusions. 2. Scientific methods. The scientific method is the formulation of a general theory based on tested hypotheses which are derived from organized patterns of systematically collected relevant facts to a political problem. The operation of this method runs as follows. First, the relevant facts to a political problem are systematically collected. Second, these facts are organized into pattern for investigation, and then hypotheses, assumptions as to the relationship of facts, are derived. Third, these facts are subjected to testing so new facts might be discovered therefrom, and that thereafter those hypotheses which do not hold true are discarded, whereas those that do are retained. And finally, a general theory is thereby formulated by tying the facts together. Under this method, there are various techniques to discover and gather the needed facts. There is the technique of reporting the description of political events. Another is the statistical method, the technique of description and measurement in quantitative terms. Still another is the technique of case study, the subjection oi, an individual or a community into an intimate and careful study. And lastly, there are the sampling and polling techniques. The holding of mock election for APO sizable, prediction of a people's behavior from what they say they will do. 3. Empirical method. Closely related to scientific method is the empirical approach. It is the observation of actual human institution and processes in order to discover fundamental political laws. Aristotle's classification of government in his Politics, then Montesquieu's formulation of the separation of powers, and Laswell's investigation of influence and the influential, are very good examples of empirical inquiry into politics. 4. Theoretical method. The theoretical method is the study of politics by using the political theories of political philosophers as models. The existence of this method is a fact, and its importance cannot be denied. It is because political problems ignite intellectual response from leaders of the time, and since problems constantly recur, it is therefore reasonable to entertain the belief that the ideas of great men in the past could shed light to contemporary social problems. The analogy between the social and natural sciences could be put forward as a valid argument on this point. As one writer pointed out, the world of nature has no awareness of what is going on in the minds of men, and is therefore uninfluenced in its behavior by the theories of natural scientists, whereas the world of society, being composed of rulers, is capable of sharing and reacting to the ideas to other men, especially social scientists and philosophers. This only proves the fact that political thought is capable of influencing the political behavior of other people, for indeed society is not only to be viewed as a sum total of all the people, but also a system of communication which extend over time and space. And since ideas are handed from one generation to another, the political theories of great men in the past are therefore expected to have a great deal of influence over modern political behavior. Number 5 is the juridical method. The juridical method dwells on the assumption that the state is a legal entity or a corporation, which exists for the creation and enforcement of laws. It regards the politica. Society is a collection of legal rights and obligations, and analyzes public law relations of the state. Its defect, however, is that it ignores the many extra legal and social forces that underlie the Constitution and the laws which, in the first place, govern human relations. This method has an appeal to jurists and students of comparative governments whose main concern is more on the superficial rather than on the latent structure of political organizations. Number 6. Geographical method. The geographical method emphasizes the importance of economic and political geography to the problems of states in international relations, especially on problems of national power, frontiers, and prospects of expansion. Mackinder's Heartland theory, which says that who rules East Europe commands the heartland, who rules the heartland commands the world island, who rules the world island commands the world. And Spikeman's Rimlands theory, which purports to say that who controls the rimland coastal plains of Eurasia commands the world island, who controls the world island, also commands the heartland powers Russia and China, as well as the island powers Britain and America, are typical examples of geographical approaches to the study of international politics. Number 7. The behavioral method is to study into what men actually do and the meaning they attach to their behavior rather than into what men ought to do and how they ought to act. Its emphasis is on the social, economic, and political forces rather than on the political institutions through which such forces operate. The behavioral approach is of recent vintage in the methodology of political science. It dates as early as before the Second World War, and it is outgrowth of many a political scientist's dissatisfaction with the orthodox methods for its failure to explain fully the increasingly complex political processes of the modern world. And since it is new in the field, behavioralism has not yet tapped all the potential areas for investigation. Presently, however, it is already active in the areas of study of voting behavior, citizen political participation, and in the analysis of politico-economic systems. Number 8. Psychological method. The approach explains political phenomena through application of psychological laws. It analyzes the motives of human behavior, the action of minds in groups, and the methods and processes of influencing public opinion. It also tries to explain the issues upon which political parties and pressure groups are based and from where internal controversies arise. This method is quite the reverse of the behavioral approach in the sense that the former determines the motives of human conduct by reading his mind, whereas the latter determines the motives of human mind by reading his behavior. Importance of studying political science. The study of political science benefits the individual, his society, and the world at large. To the individual, the study of political science is a good training for democratic citizenship, for acquiring knowledge in politics, especially on the operation of the government and the issues invested. Interests behind public policies, an individual is enabled thereby to become an active and intelligent participant in the political processes, and in this way, not only is the individual benefited but his society as well. For indeed there is no other greater or better contribution towards a progressive and healthy society than an active and intelligent participation of the people in public affairs. The world society is also benefited by the study of political science. With the threat of modern destructive weapons, especially the neutron bomb, the continued existence of the entire human race is in a precarious state. Because of this, peoples in all parts of the globe must have to learn to live in harmony. International problems must be solved, and their solutions must be based upon humanitarian grounds and not upon the sole consideration of power politics. This is not possible, however, without some measure of education in political science. The basic things to learn. If political science is that much important, what are then the basic things to learn from the subject? This video is an awareness that the neophyte student could not become an expert overnight after taking up this introductory course. At the most, however, the beginner should be able to familiarize himself with the definition of certain basic terms, and to understand certain general concepts and principles such as legislative supremacy, Congress or Parliament controls the other branches of the government, the doctrine that national authorities should prevail in cases where national and local interests are in conflict with each other. Moreover, the student should be able to discuss the operations of the government or any of its agencies, like what does Congress do, and how does it operate. And on top of it all, he should learn the habit of being analytical, that is, that he should be wary of certain political statements. He should, at least, be able to point the loopholes of concocted propaganda from certain quarters. If, for example, A Russian delegate to the United Nations alleges that his country represents a truer democracy than whichever of the capitalist countries of the world, on the ground that a greater percentage of Soviet citizens registered to vote do actually vote in Russia than in any other national elections of such capitalist states. The student should be able to recognize immediately that a high ratio of votes cast does not necessarily indicate the existence of a real or effective democracy. Thank you for the continuous watching of my vlogs, and you may also visit some of my earlier vlogs like this on the subject of philosophy, political science, ethics, and other subjects on academics that can add knowledge and inspiration. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and press the notification bell to keep you updated of my new contents. Thanks to everyone. Message from YouTube channel Abundio Forcado. God bless all.
Wow.